we're back again, and this time I have Mr. Joe with us.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right. We are going to go over a topic which a little controversial in a way, but we believe it's necessary to speak of it because we're men. So it's that marriage is a scam. I mean, need I say more? I don't know, but we'll have that discussion. I mean, I think that's put perfectly, but I guess we'll keep on having that small discussion because you, sir, are married and you've been married for a little bit now. So,
Yes.
yeah, all right. So now we want to hear your side.
All
And
right. Well,
I'm gonna ask a question for all that. Don't get excited. I want to ask the question first. I know you want to attack this head on. But the question is this: when you first were younger, were you taught that getting married was a goal as a man?
yes and no. Um, I was raised by my mom mostly in my younger years, and with my two sisters. So I was surrounded by, you know, women,
Mm.
and it. I got portrayed like the goals to get married, and so that was my thing. Like typical family, get married, you know, kids, house,
Mm.
all that stuff. So, and then no, because I kind of witnessed my parents' divorce. So I was influenced very young, saying like, yeah, get married, it's amazing. And then, right away I was like, okay, I don't know anymore. So it's kind of tricky for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know if
So
that answered.
I mean, yeah, yeah, in a way you did answer it because I mean you were lucky in a way though too because you got to experience living in a single mother home, you know, and you also got to see how your father ran things, and it actually might have been good because um, as you're younger, you need to be nurtured, you know, a lot more. So it was good that your mother was there because I'm sure your sisters and everybody kind of helped you out. Um, and then when you went with your father, you said your older years. So were you a teenager or?
Yeah, when my father and me like reconnected, I guess I was 12.
Oh, perfect. So you're teenager practically, and that's a crucial time to have a father in your life.
Yeah.
It's very crucial because you start understanding discipline, you start understanding structure, you start understanding authority. So all that starts to kick in at that time. So you actually got him at the right time, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And you had to have your mother when you were smaller. You were nurtured. You were being coddled, protected. So I guess it did turn out well for you in that aspect. And you got to see, unfortunately, the bad part of marriage, which is, the divorce. I'm sure it was very crappy for you. And as kids, we think it's our fault that they
Yeah.
got divorced. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh yeah.
should have got an A on that test. What the, and I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything. But that's how the younger minds they work. They internalize things as if the sun got blocked by the moon, and you have an eclipse, and it's because I played basketball that day. So now I can't play basketball anymore, or else the sky turns black. So that's the way we think when we're younger. It's very unfortunate that most parents have no idea about that. But it really helps out to let the kid understand and know that it's not their fault at all. Um, so now, when you have that experience, you can actually use it in your life. Um, what did you learn most about the divorce?
Uh, what I learned from that. So, when my parents got divorced, you know, my dad left and I was with my mom. And I got in my head with like, when the person I have kids with, that's who I'm going to be with. I'm going to strive to be with that. I don't want my kids to experience that downfall of a divorce. And so I always told myself the first person I have kids with, that's who I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. Because I don't want my kids to experience that hardship, I guess. So in my head, it just implanted like, all right, I have kids, you know, let's stay together forever. Okay. And it's hard, you know, because you know sometimes it doesn't work out like that, and so, but then like it also taught me that the first person you're with, as I got older, the first person like you know you thought is the love of your life, you get married, maybe they're not, you know, and that's okay, because like my dad, he's happy, you know, he found someone else, and I see how my mom is, and I see how my dad is, and they weren't compatible. They weren't. And I'm glad, you know, my dad found who he did, and my mom, I think she found the right guy also, I think. But yeah, no, yeah, it opened my eyes, you know, in many ways, you know, like you could be young and in love and stupid, but once you get older, you know, people change and, you know, goals change, and, you know, it might not work out, but it's not the end of the world. So, yeah.
Okay, so what were you taught with your mother about uh, the divorce? Like, what did she tell you about it? Like, how you know, what was the main point that she brought up?
Well, well, long story short, uh, obviously my mom will say, you know, my dad was wrong. And as me being 6 years old when they got divorced, I just accepted that. My dad was the problem. And as you get older, you see more, you know, you start seeing stuff out of your eyes, out of your own perspective. And I now, me being the age I am now, 35, I see what my dad sees. Because as I got older, I was like, oh, my mom's, you know, she's kind of crazy, you know. I was like, nah, she's not crazy. It was my dad. And then, like, as I started becoming my own man, and as I got into my teenage years, me and my mom got into it, and then, you know, unfortunately, she kicked me out, and I went to go finally reunite with my dad, and then I got my dad's side, and so, like I said, my mom told me my dad didn't love us, he never did, you know, he didn't want this, and so that's why he walked out on us. But I just think, like, you know, I mean, not to talk bad on women or anything. I feel like they like to blame the man quickly, then take their own responsibility.
Oh my goodness, are you accusing women of not having accountability? Oh, yeah, and that toxicity of you. You are disgusting, man. So I'm gonna say yes. Women have a little bit of an issue with accountability. That is practically their kryptonite. That is their downfall. That is everything that's wrong with them, is accepting accountability. So yeah, I understand that part. I can completely understand it. And like you said, your father, right? He was able to show you because I'm sure he didn't tell you. I'm sure he showed you. Um, because that's what we do as men. We try not to speak too much. We try to let our actions speak for ourselves. So that's the one part. So now my question is, did you ever ask your mother for advice about marriage?
Um, she told me, well, like I said, she told me being married is wonderful if you find the right person, and she said my dad was an asshole. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I say that? I'm sorry.
Probably not.
He was a mean guy,
Yes.
and so I need to be better than my dad, and marriage is what you're supposed to do, and you got to be a better man, a good man. So, my mom told me, basically, if you get married, be a good man and do what you gotta do, which is good advice. But coming from my mom, I think she was just trying to make me see my dad as a bad guy. So, because like now I see the bigger picture, what happened between my parents. So yeah, when I was young, and being married was supposed to be a good blessing and happiness, and it's what you're supposed to do.
Okay. And now, what advice did you get from your father?
From my father, he told me, because obviously after a while I told my dad like why'd you leave me with my mom by myself? Because fortunately, like, my mom didn't take the breakup well, and she took it out on me. And I got to a breaking point where like me and my mom were just fighting, and she was the bigger person in every way possible. And my best friend was the belt for a long time. And so I kind of blamed my father for leaving and breaking up our family. And he told me, you're young, you don't understand, but as you get older, you'll understand. And at first I was confused what he meant by that. But as I did get older and I started becoming, in my later teens, as my adult years and all that, I could see in my own eyes that it wasn't my father's fault. It was my mother's fault. Because people don't really change. And I see my mom being this person that my dad said I'll see her as. And I did. It opened my eyes. And so I finally told my dad, like, hey, like later on, when I think I was 18, 19. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But I want to speak ill of your mother because she's your mother. And so I respect my dad as that. He didn't talk smack about my mom, like how my mom talked smack about my dad. And so he told me as I got older, like when I confronted him, when I was like, hey, were you talking about this? Because like I see this about my mom. He's like, yeah. And he said, I met her young and I was an immigrant and she was in America, and the good side, she had papers.
Oh.
and so yeah, that's how my dad became legal. They got married.
Nice.
So
good for him.
he said he worked hard. He bought a house for us, and I remember the house. And and he tried to do the noble right thing. I got with this woman. I got her pregnant. She has my son. We're gonna get married. We're gonna live the American dream. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. And my dad left her with everything. And my dad left her the house and all that. And then I don't know, like I said, I don't really ask my mom about it because she gets all weird about it, but she let the house go. She let everything go. So, so I respect my dad not talking smack about my mom when I was a young age, because that would, like, I don't know, I feel like you don't want to poison your kids' minds about their parents. And so my dad said, like, if you're young, you're stupid, just wait, you'll find the right one, and life will work its way out how it's supposed to be.
Okay. Now, if you can give me a little bit of perspective of your wife and what she was told about um, marriage.
Oh, the day I met my wife, she wanted to get married. Like the first day I met her, she's like, "Let's get married." And I was like, "Wait, what?" But I don't know if she was joking or not. To this day, I don't know if she's joking or not. Anyways, so uh I didn't really ask her how she views marriage as a young kid, but I think she likes that's what America does, or that's what I guess TV outlets do. They blast like everywhere, like, "Oh, we get married, it's a beautiful white wedding, everything's roses and doves and lovey-dovey stuff." So like my wife, she thought, that's how life is, it's perfect, and life isn't a movie, so um she like wanted to get married right away. But when she first met me, I was 20, okay? And I already had some baggage, and I told her like, I just met you, let's like relax and work our way up. So I think she got painted as like young, like as like when you find someone, marry them.
Okay. Well, I mean that's a good mindset that she had, because you have to also remember that us as men, we have more time when it comes down to that. Women only have a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Because as women get older, no offense, but some of them get uglier. Um, some of them, they just, I don't know what to say about that, but it's the truth. And some of those women also, as they get older, they start to accumulate trauma, and then since they're more in their feelings, they'll, it gets worse for them, because not only do they have their feelings, they get in the way of any relationship, but on top of that, you have that clock running out, and once you get to 35, whew, that's hard to have kids. It's a risk, because women usually like older men. So as as uh, as you get older as a man, you become more valuable because you have more knowledge, all this wonderful stuff. As a woman, though, as you get older, you start losing the opportunities. You start losing, trying to have kids. That's a big thing. And if she hasn't taken good care of herself, and he hasn't taken very good care of himself, and he's older than her, they go and have a baby. Now you have two unhealthy humans trying to have a healthy baby. So that's an issue right there. So in a way, she kind of had the right mentality, to be honest with you. She was looking to get married, which is what she should have done as early as possible. And it sounds like that's what she was doing. So in a way, she might have been taught correctly, and she ended up being married, and now she has two beautiful children. So I guess it was a good choice, on her part, and she stayed with it, and that's a great thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's a benefit of when your family, your parents, they teach you that having a family is practically essential in you enjoying your life and you developing in your life, because now you have built your own family. And as men, our legacy is extremely important. So that's the reason why we have to be the best versions of ourselves, so our kids look at us and they say, hey, I gotta be just like my old man, dude. I gotta be strong, I gotta be this, I gotta do that, that's what he did. So it's very important to us as to leave our legacy. And all those kids, they come out of us, to be honest. So they're us practically. So it's it's good that she had that instilled, and it's good for us to instill that into the women, because that way they know what they want. You know, they're dating to marry. They're not dating to just get used, which is
Yeah.
very important. You know, because that way, if she sees one little small red flag in a guy, she's not gonna talk to him. Why? Because she's not gonna get married to that. You know, it's very simple. It's very easy. It's easier when a woman understands that, you're out there, dating to marry. Very important, because that way, she'll avoid all the noise and all the guys that are coming with these pretty lies, and she won't fall victim to them because, you know, her mind is set on this particular, goal. So, I mean, it's great. You're luckier than what you think you are, sir.
No,
Um,
I know it.
yeah.
But it's not always like, to me, like, yeah, it worked out. But it's not always rainbows and butterflies. We had our hard times, and like I said, like, I met her when I was 20, uh, young, very young. When I turned 21, she took me to get my first shot. And she's a few months older than me,
Mm.
and so, like, she took me to get my first shot. I was still young, and like I said, your channel, Tygon, is about helping young men and all that. And so, like, yes, it worked out for me, but uh I don't rush into marriage. I didn't. It took me 12 years to marry my wife. I didn't marry her right off the bat, like the day one, like she wanted to. You're still young. You just still don't know what you want in life. And me and my wife is two different people, who we are when we were 20 versus how we are now in our mid 30s. And it wasn't always perfect. Like, there was a time where we kind of took a little break, but we found each other back in the end, and it worked out. But my advice out there to the young men, like, if they do meet a woman in their early 20s, like, don't get married right away. You guys need to work out what you guys have in the future in store, because, like, right now, that moment, young love is powerful, and you can make mistakes, and it's okay if you make mistakes, but don't make those big mistakes. And like the example I gave you guys earlier, like, my mom and my dad, they got divorced, and like, I'm grateful because I'm here, they had me, and I have, I think, a good life now. But just take it slow, and you don't have to marry the first person you meet in your 20s, because you don't know what they have in mind, goals or whatever. So, like, it's cool if you meet the right person, but take it a little slow.
Okay. So now we've gotten the perspective, of your parents. We gotten your perspective practically. We have somewhat of knowledge of what your wife was thinking, or what she thought, at least with the main the mentality that she came in with. So now we go to the marriage is a scam part, where we do the celebration. We'd like to hear what you have to share about that.
Oh, man. So, if anyone says getting married is easy, it's not. It is not. I sacrifice a lot of hours and money for a day of celebration, which was nice. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think I ever been as happy I was the day I got married. So it's kind of worth it, but, like, in the end, it's a big investment. And uh take your time getting married, because I thought my wedding was cheap, but but it wasn't cheap to me. But people said my wedding was cheap. I'm like, what do you mean it's cheap? It cost me like 20 grand for my wedding, and people are like, oh, that's a cheap wedding. I'm like, what the heck? Like 20 grand isn't cheap to me. And you know, me and my wife, we don't have like I don't want to say bad parents, but like we don't come from a wealthy family. And on her side, her parents couldn't really help us that much. And then luckily my dad was able to pay for the DJ, but everything else came out of me and my wife's pocket. And like her wedding dress, the venue, the wedding cake, just everything. And so I'm like, damn, 20 grand could get you this and this and this, but like I don't know. I think 20 grand is a lot, but at the same time, it's to me, it's a once in a lifetime experience, hopefully, knock on wood. So, yeah, it's expensive. So I could have done other stuff. I took out some investments and I don't have any more. And like, I don't think it took me 12 years to marry my wife, but I think we still kind of rushed it because we gave ourselves a 1 year span to get married. I wish we kind of had more time, but it is what it is on that. And then we lost other benefits, I guess, getting married also. I don't want to say we were cheating the system, but since we were like technically in the eye of the law, we were single, we weren't married. So we like filed our taxes separately. And for some reason, she got a lot of money because she claimed the kids on her taxes. And then last year we did our taxes together. We didn't get that much money. I was like, okay, getting married, we lose money on taxes. And then she got food stamps. And, like I said, we weren't trying to cheat the system. Like she put in what she made and kids and all that. And they gave us like a few amount of dollars. But since we got married, they're like, okay, no more food stamps. And so I was like, dang, we don't get a big return on our taxes. We don't get food stamps. Like, what's the point of getting married? Like, yeah, we love each other, but we've been in love with each other for 12 years. Did we really need a piece of paper saying we're happy? And like, full disclaimer, just in case my wife hears this, I love you. I'm glad we're married, but like, it's just like people tell you like the goal is to get married, and like I don't think that's the goal anymore. But it's nice, But like, if you're ready for it, yeah, go for it. But it's just people tell you get married, have kids. Oh no, technically the order is get married, get a house, and then have kids. And I also think that is also kind of toxic because like not everyone has a perfect life like me. Like I had kids first, and then we got our little house, and now we're married, and we're happy. Like yeah, we kind of did it backwards, and yeah, it was a little hard, but you get what you get. What life throws at you, you take it and you roll with it. Sorry if I ramble too long.
No. I mean, you're speaking out of truth. You're not sitting here trying to hide anything. So that's very good, because somebody out there could hear it, and some guy out there is probably getting pressured right now to get married, and for some reason he's like, no, I don't. Let's not rush it. Hold on, and this might help him out and to make that decision, because we're talking about marriage and when it works. That's what we're talking about right now. Marriage that works. We're not talking about marriage that doesn't work. We're talking about marriages that work, like right before you guys decide to make that commitment together. We're not even talking about the back end of it, because the celebration really is more for the woman. We as men, we just look at it as another celebration. It's like it's a birthday, like it means, it doesn't mean that much to us really, because every single day I'm being married. So before I get married, I was already being married. Like nothing has changed.
Yeah, exactly. That's how exactly I felt. Yeah.
So it's like, it's in a way, um it is kind of a scam,
No,
because
yeah. My wife told me like years, like, are we getting married this year? I was like, no, I don't think we're ready yet. And like, it's not just like the feeling of like, oh, we love each other, we should get married. It's like where are you at in life? Like, like I said, we had our son, I think the second year we were together, and like having a kid is a big responsibility. And like I said, like it costs money to have a kid. And like I was like, when, like, were we supposed to get married when we had our son? Like we were, all our money went to him. And then I think the third year we got our apartment, and our own very first apartment together, and we had to like, buy furniture, and that, it's a big cost. And then like, like you financially wise, like getting married, you have to like wait until you're ready. And like I said, it took me 12 years, and I wasn't even ready because I did not know how much it was going to cost. And like I think my wife, after like the 8th, 9th year, she stopped asking me, let's get married, because she thought I would never marry her, which was sad. But like I just told her like it wasn't the right time. And like after the 12th year, like, like I said, we have our little house, we paid off the car, we have our washer and dryer, we have, a brand new fridge. Like I was like, you know what? I think it's finally time, we're good. So yeah, like to the guys out there, like, don't be pressured. You are, in your male DNA instinct, you know you're not going with feelings, you're going with facts. Women, they want to get married, and so like, sorry for my wife out there, I made you wait 12 years, but you know I think we did it at a good time. And like I did it for her because I knew that's what she wanted since day one. Like I told you, day one she's like, let's get married. So I did it for her. And like, yes, it was happy because I had people who there cheered me on, and it was a good celebration. But like you said, like I already felt married to her because we were together for 12 years. So, but yeah, pretty much like what you said, like as a man you're already married to that woman, but like they need that piece of paper. I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's the piece of paper. I think it's more the celebration. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And again, I'm speaking as a man, and I've talked to a few married women, and that's what they talk about. Like, it's more along the lines of keeping up with the Joneses type of situation, where they want to show this off instead of, oh, we could have bought another car. We could have had this money and invested into a business. Instead, they want to look at it as, well, I have to show this to my friends.
That's funny that you bring that up, because she did say like I got married before my best friend, and she had a better wedding than her cousin did, because like with her best friend and her cousin, they've been like close ever since she was little. And her cousin got married in the courthouse, which is fine. They saved a lot of money. But like we had a big celebration. Like I said, we had a chapel and all that, or not a chapel, but like a venue and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then her best friend, she's with the toxic guy that says like, oh, I love you, and like he doesn't do anything for her. I mean, that's a different story for a different time. So my wife did have bragging rights, and she loved that she has bragging rights. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, again though, that's it depends how far you're gonna let her not take control, but how much you're willing to give. If you're willing to sacrifice yourself for her, which is practically what you did, all your hard-earned money, you sacrifice it for one celebration. And I mean, logically, it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Logically.
Oh yeah.
Right. But if we put the feelings into it, then it might have been cheap. So it depends on how what your perspective is. As a man, marriage is not. If I'm already living with you, like if I'm living with you, I'm taking care of you, I'm paying your bills, we have kids, we're married. Like,
No, yeah, that's why I told her, but
you know,
it's not enough.
I mean, I guess, like I said, it goes back to, well, I can put this in somebody else's face, you know, and that shouldn't be um, a good reason, you know, because like me, if I ever decide to get married, I better have a good damn reason as to why we are getting married, you know, or having the celebration of getting married. I don't mind going down to the courthouse and doing my thing. Sure, okay, I guess we'll do it legally. No big deal, right? Or, you know, we'll just go to a simple church and we'll get married with, you know, certain friends there, and that's about it. And then after that, we can maybe, you know, rent out a hall or something, and everybody has a celebration and dances together, right? Maybe. But to actually go all out, you know, start getting a horse and a carriage and, you know, that just, yeah, that sounds crazy to me because there's more that we can do with that money. You know, as I much rather invest that money into something that's going to give me something back. Because if I have that money, yeah, you know, you paid a caterer, you paid the chapel, you or the venue, you paid the people who were serving, you paid for all the little decorations for somebody to come and decorate it all, for somebody to come and set up the whole theme. Then you paid for the dress. Then you pay. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just adds up, and then if you really think about it, we go back to like what we talk about in this channel is, does that make you a better woman that you have a better marriage celebration? You know, that's what it comes down to. Because if I have a car, right, and I decide to buy me a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, whatever, it's very expensive. I'm paying like $2,000 a month for this car, right? Is it logical?
No.
Exactly. Now, do I look? Am I a better guy?
No.
Exactly. All all I am now is owing the bank. All I'm doing is renting out the bank's car. That's all I'm doing. You know.
No, yeah, yeah, that's actually pretty accurate, because see, so we had our day we celebrated, right? And then, unfortunately, at that time where me and my wife was working, they didn't offer PTO, so we took a week off for our wedding, and she took, I think, 2 extra days off after the wedding. But the day after I got married, I needed to go back to work. And yeah, I had a good time at my wedding. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. But reality hit me hard the next day, because I needed to snap back into back to the 9 to 5 grind, like, oh, dang. So I crashed pretty hard, and I was kind of depressed after. Like, I was like, oh man, like, I spent all that money
All my hard
and
work.
party too hard, and then the next day I had to go back to work, and my wife went back to work, I think 2 days later, and she's like, I want that feeling again, that high again. But fortunately, we had to go back to work. And then when we got our next paycheck, we're like, oh man, that sucks, because like we took the week off, and like I said, where we worked at the time, they didn't offer PTO. And so like you said, like, yeah, I got the Lamborghini, but guess what, you still have to go back to your regular life. Like, at that second where you're driving around in your Lamborghini, you're cool, but you're still the same person. You get me? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's what a lot of guys don't understand. They have this mentality of let my wife, they keep saying happy wife, happy life.
yeah,
I definitely do not believe in that. I believe in happy, house, happy spouse, happy house, whatever. I do not believe that the woman should have full on power. That just sounds crazy to me. But that's just my personal point of view, right? And when it comes down to marriage, literally she has all that power. Well, marriage is as in a celebration. I don't mean marriage as in long-term life partner. We're talking about two different things. When I say marriage, I'm talking about the actual just marriage being the celebration of being married. That she has total and complete control of it. From what I see, for everybody that has gotten married, they all tell me the exact same thing. I spent $50,000 on a wedding, and I didn't really want to be there. It's like I was just there because I paid for it. So and I always ask, well, I mean, how were you guys before you were married? And like, I was happier. And then what happened after? Well, now I'm kind of miserable, because then you start getting that bitterness. Reality kicks in. Man, well, what I could have done with all that money. Now I'm paying it every month. I have to pay this money. You at least got rid of the money and it was gone. But with these guys, they're actually having to constantly pay it out because they might have taken out a loan or some, crazy thing like that. So they're paying, for $50,000, now you're paying, $65,000 in a loan, and you're paying it for years. So is it really worth it? I mean, I don't, me as a man, my point of view, I'll have a celebration, but it's going to be a small celebration. It's not going to be a humongous celebration. It's going to be people I like, people I trust. I want dancing. I want celebration that where people are dancing, definitely. But am I gonna go all out and spend more than what I'm supposed to? Where I could put that money into our future? I'd much rather put that money into our future. Personally, that's just me. But there's guys out there that just, again, they give complete control to the woman when it comes down to just that particular day, that celebration. And it's a great memory. You can't take that back. It is a great memory. Unfortunately, you're gonna be worried about it for a year or two if you spend a lot of money. So it's best to sometimes be a man and tell your wife or your future wife, how does this make sense?
No, yeah, that's why I told my wife, like I said, it took me 12 years to marry my wife. Like, we just had a kid, why we're gonna get married right now? We just got an apartment, how we're gonna get married right now? Like, we just bought this house, how we're gonna get married right now? We just spruce up the house, furniture, washer and dryer, how are we gonna get married right now? We're making a car payment, like, how are we gonna get married right now? Like, make it make sense, like, we're not getting married right now. Like, I love you, I love you, we have kids, I have a house, we have a joint bank account. Like, all my attention and love is going to this family, like, but yeah, like, make it make sense.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's unfortunately for you, it's already done, but you found out the truth. It's a little late, but at least you know the truth, and you know what to tell your son as well, because that's pretty important that you already had that experience. Maybe your parents didn't have the big giant celebration, and that's probably why they both could still go their own separate ways and still succeed on their own. So I mean, what advice would you give to guys out there? Like what advice? What would be the essential part of that advice? There we go. That's the question.
I mean, first things first. Everyone, life is different, and like I said, I didn't come from a wealthy family. My wife didn't come from a wealthy family, because I jokingly told my wife, like, technically, how we're raised, your family's supposed to pay for the wedding, and then she got all mad. That wasn't a funny joke, but
it's
so
true.
No, yeah, it's true, right?
It's just what it is.
So my advice out there, like I said, everyone's different. They come from different backgrounds. You know, you know who you are, and you know how you where you are in life. And maybe me and my wife could have done a smaller celebration. Like, I don't know, according to people, 20K for a wedding is small already. To me, like, that's a insult to me because like 20K for me is like a lot of money. But if you have the money, like if you come from a wealthy family, it takes a village to like raise, you know, so like that's great. But if you're like me and financially, not tight, but you don't have that luxury to spend money, you know, give yourself more time. Like, make sure you find the right person. Don't rush into it. Grow with that person first, because I also believe in you don't know someone until you live with them. And, that's true. Like, my wife presented herself, like, as a young 20-year-old girl, like, dang, smoking hot. She's perfect, And, I'm not saying my wife is bad, just in case she listens, not everyone's perfect. And so you gotta learn to grow with their flaws too. And if you're not comfortable with like their flaws, it's gonna drive you crazy. And if you commit to a marriage young, you're gonna regret getting married, and you don't want that. You don't want that regretness. You don't want to be regretful. And so just find someone with goals and grow with them. And when the time is right and where you're financially ready, then you can start talking about it. And I would say give yourself some time to get married if you want to get married. And I don't think that you should be brainwashed how like it portrays in like movies and all that. Like, life isn't perfect. So if you have kids first, don't be like, oh man, I should have got married first. That's what we're supposed to do. Like you're your own person, and just do what what you can do. And if your partner loves you for who you are, they should understand. And I think that's pretty much it. Like, be smart about it, and you should know what your limit is. And if you guys love each other, that's all that matters in the end. And just grow old with someone with the same goals and love.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much covers the majority of that. Really, that's of it all. I'm
Because
Mhm.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, because like, for example, like as I told you guys at the beginning of this episode, my parents, I felt like, got rushed because my mom had me at 17, and when she was 17. So my dad, like, oh, I got this girl pregnant. I mean, I don't know. I'm not speaking for my dad, but as I see, like, and, like I said, he was an immigrant and my mom had papers. So I think they got together fast, had a kid fast, and then they got married, and like, they didn't grow old and learn each other and adapt it to each other. Because in the end, like I said, like, marriage is great, but if you don't find the right person, the aftermath is horrible, And as for a guy, I feel like if you get divorced, you have more to lose than a woman.
And actually, that was gonna be my point.
My bad.
No. That's perfect that you jumped in. Because again, you're speaking as a person who's already gone through it. You're already married. You can't unmarry. I mean, you can, but it'd be after. You can't go back and change what you've already done. So, as a man, I look at it as it just doesn't make sense. to be honest with you. I'm just being honest. I'm not, I'm not saying it's bad, but it doesn't make sense to me personally, because if I love the person, I'm already taking care of them. I'm already giving them my attention. I'm already giving them my resources. And if we have kids together, I already have the kids with you. What more?
You're invested. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm already there. Like, what more do I need? Oh, you want to get married? Sure. Okay, we'll do it this way. We'll go to a nice little small little venue, and we'll have those that are closest to us. We'll do our thing, and then after that, we'll have a nice, wonderful party with everybody, and that's it. And everybody celebrates our union. But me spending, a couple thousand, on this, then 1,000 on that, then 1,000 on that. Oh, man, that just sounds insane to me. It just doesn't make sense personally, just to me, And as a man, on top of that, I'm losing money going in, right? And I'm losing money going out. It just doesn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, what business would I get into where I give my life savings, and then if it doesn't work out, I have to pay everything that I have, for years on end, just because I have to pay? There's no business like that. There's absolutely no business like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, at least in business, if I go in and I invest, and let's say, we lose a year down or 2 years down, we have to close the business. You know what? I learned, but I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's gone. And once it's sold, maybe I could get some money back, or maybe the equipment, maybe I could get some money back. Maybe I could try later on down the road, but I won't be paying for it, and lose everything I own. And then not only that, but on top of that, I gotta pay. On top of...
No, yeah.
So I go in, spend 30 G's, then, a year or two later, I can have everything that I've worked really hard for taken away. And then on top of that, I have to pay every month. And then if I have kids, on top of that, I have to pay for the kids. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Where do I win as a man? That's my question.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, I saw my dad go through it. He paid alimony. He paid child support. He had to go to the court and pay for, divorce lawyers. And so, yeah, if you take that risk and if it doesn't work out, like, you pay a bigger risk. Wedding, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, all of it, just absolutely, to me personally, just like I said, maybe other men think differently. And again, I'm pro-family, so don't think I'm not pro-family. But I'm just saying, paying for a celebration and going out of my mind with paying, like, I gotta have ponies and unicorns, and it just doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, especially if to me, I'm planning for the future. How is that planning for the future? Spending that money today, it's gone tomorrow, and now I don't get it back. And then on top of that, now I'm stuck because if it doesn't work out, I have to pay more. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just sounds terrible to me. It just sounds like a very bad situation. Personally, again, I'm still pro-family, and I want people to still keep together. It's just do it in a conscious way. Do it in a logical way. Where you could both understand. Don't do it because of a feeling that you want to show off. If that's what you're doing, then the marriage doesn't work anyways. Because you're just doing it just to show off. So show that I have this. Show that I have a wife. I have a car. I have a house. I'm showing off. That's it. You're not doing it because, hey, this is my life partner. I love her. We've been together. We've been through thick and thin. We're doing everything, together. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is, I have a child, and I have a house, and I have a car. So, I'm living that life. No. All that comes from internal. Again, just because you have a Ferrari or you have an expensive car, but you're paying $800 a freaking month for, that just sounds crazy to me. That's another thing I will never do. Or I don't unless I could buy it outright. Sure, I'll do it. But besides that, probably not. It's just not. It just doesn't seem logical to me, you know. But again, I'm just one man. There's other men out there that most likely have a different mentality than me, and they'll think to themselves, you know what, it's worth the risk, you know. So, you know, every in that aspect, every man has a different mentality on that, or a different thought. But to close it out, I want to hear your closing thoughts, sir.
Overall, you know, if you find the right person you love and you grow old with them, and if you guys are financially ready for that, and you know you guys are it, then yeah, go ahead and get married. But you know, with marriage, you know, it comes with like the government and all that in your life, and so you gotta really think about it, like, is this really for us? And like I said, when I met my wife, day one she wanted to get married, so in the back of my head I knew she wanted to get married. We didn't get married right away. It took us 12 years to get married, and I think we still need a little bit more time, but you know, don't rush into it. It's a big, huge investment that could backfire. So, and overall, if you find the right person, and in the end, you guys know you guys are the end game, get married. It's, like I said, it's beautiful. I love my wife, you know, but it's not for everyone. And you just gotta be careful. And, you know, you could be happy without having the title of and a piece of paper. So it all depends on everyone. No rush. Just be happy and live a good life.
Yeah. And my final thoughts would be that, man, I'm pro family, but I'm not pro. I'm not about throwing money out the window. It just doesn't work like that for me. Personally, if you can do that, go ahead. I guess you haven't worked that hard for your money. I work really hard for my money, so I want to make sure that I spend it wisely. And if the woman needs a big giant celebration to go and tell the rest of her friends or show off in front of them, then you might want to question if she's the one. Personally, that's my personal thought. Because now she's not doing it for us, she's doing it for her. And yeah, that's a problem to me, because if she's only thinking of her and I'm thinking of her, who the hell's looking out for me? You know?
Facts.
That's how I look at it. So, you know, again, I'm still pro family, and I'm still, you know, gonna have my family. I'm still planning on all that. So don't think this is me going against the grain, because that's not what's happening. I'm actually all about being pro family, and I want more families out there. Society needs to get bigger and better at the moment, especially. So don't think this is something negative towards marriage. It's not, but it is. Don't get caught up in the hype of it. And that's the main part that I really see, is don't get caught up in the hype of it, and understand who your partner is. And if they're seriously doing it just for themselves, then you really have to look into that, you know, and maybe make them aware of what they're doing. So then that way you can actually have a celebration in which you're comfortable with, and it doesn't affect your life or change your life or make you struggle even more than what you're already struggling. So
True.
Just a thought. But with that, we'll end it. Say goodbye, Mr. Joe.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me again, Tygon. Appreciate it. I appreciate what you guys do here on this channel.
All right. We're here for you. And if you guys have any questions for Mr. Joe, we will have his link down in the description, so you can go and check him out on his journey about him changing his life for the better and losing that weight. So with that said, we are out. Peace.
Peace.